So actually in the middle of creating the UI configuration for our custom object. So what we have done is we copied the standard OVP application into Z, and then we link that business object type or BOT, or we call it as a OTC. OTC. We both are same. BOT means business object type. OTC means object type code. So both are same. So basically, we'll assign the whatever the BOT that we created for our custom data model. So we link that one, and then we added two UIBBs. For each UIBB, we added the corresponding entity and the feeder class. Okay. So now let me open this. So basically, to get into this MDG IMG. From here, central governance, general settings, UI model. So manage UI configurations. So once you open that manage UI configuration, this particular node, then it will open up the UI configuration in browser. Okay. So here we already, this is the one which we copied, the USMT OVP gen template. Okay. So now once we copied and assigned our data model, so you can see the entry over here. When you can scroll down, filter down with your data model, YP data model. Okay. So this is our application. So in our application, we have three components. So this is the application configuration. And under this particular application configuration, we have two more child components. One is CBA, the other one is the component configuration. And this is the application configuration. For your application, this is the parent, and there are two nodes are there, two subcomponents are there. So at the parent level, that means at the main application level, we assigned this our OTC, which we created for our data model. Okay. So after this is the only one change that we need to assign over here. And then all the UIBBs and the design that we will be doing on this component configuration. That means this is the second node. Okay. So this is the second node. So once you click this one, so it will take you to the browser-based editor. That is nothing but Fluid. So we call this editor as a Fluid editor. So this editor, we call it as a Fluid, FLUID. So Fluid means flexible user interface design. Okay. So now in this Fluid editor, so there are two UIBBs we added, right? So basically how to add UIBB, you can click on this edit button. Your plus UIBB button will be enabled. From there, you can add UIBBs, form UIBB and list UIBB. So we named our form UIBB Z_Z material and our list UIBB Z plant. Okay. And after this, okay, so you can actually click on this particular configure UIBB by selecting one of the UIBB. It will take you to the UIBB configuration. There on the repository, from the repository section, okay, you can add the attributes that you want, and this is the properties section, the right hand side. Okay, and if you go to the general settings, you can find your feeder class and the parameters, right? Nothing but your entity. So this is the feeder class we assigned for form UIBB, and this is your the type 1 entity. Okay, so likewise we added the list UIBB as well, and once this is done, so basically you can actually click on this particular, so currently you are at this form UIBB, and click on this particular main application. Okay, so this is main application. So it will take you to that main application. So, and we similarly, we added the list UIBB as well. Okay, so we completed till here. Okay, so we added all the UIBBs. Now there are two things are pending. First one is the wiring schema. Okay, so this
one clarification here. Suppose if in the same template, if we have multiple UIBB for form, where we can use the same feeder class which you mentioned, right? The form, correct? Suppose out of 3, one is the custom UIBB where we can use our custom feeder class, correct? We can just copy that. Okay, got it.
So at each UIBB level, it's up to you whether you can use the standard or custom.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah. Now coming back to the next one is we need to maintain the wiring schema. Why we need to maintain the
Somewhere I have seen beside that feeder class, I think that is something like BOL is written. What is that actually? Yeah, here it is. Feeder class, BOL, feeder class, GUAB form for MDG. So
this is the description of the class. This is the class description, this one.
is this any connection with the Genil or nothing? Na? BOL I have heard that.
No. Let me so see, for every class you will have the description. Okay, so let me show you the description. So the class name is CL underscore CL MDG BS. CL underscore MDG underscore BS GUIBB form. BS underscore GUIBB underscore form. So the right hand side towards the class is the description of that particular class. If you go to these properties, so this is the description. Bool feeder class for GUIBB form MDG. The same description bool here it is showing. So when you enter the class name, the corresponding description it will show here.
That is true. Is there any related to ABAP technical in the sense of BOL is anything is another concept like like Genil you said yesterday. So is there any,
In the Genil itself, you will have all these other BOL classes.
okay.
So Genil itself is a framework. Under the Genil, you have these classes, right? So those we call it as a BOL feeder classes, BOL. So so BOL is like it's a part of your Genil framework only. This one. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. So coming back to our, so basically we need to add the wiring schema. So what is the significance of this wiring schema? So wiring schema is, let's say, for example, on your UI application. So how your UI application should look like basically. So this is your OVP application. Okay. Here, of course, change request related UIBB will get added once we do the final configuration. But this is your form UIBB. And this is your list UIBB. Okay. Your form UIBB will have something like your material number. Okay. Material type and material group. Okay. And let's say industry sector. These are the attributes that we maintain at the form main material level. Okay. At the plant level, this is a table. So you will have something like material and then plant and then ABC indicator, deletion flag, deletion status or something. We added these two attributes. Okay. So now if I enter 100, the material number is 100, let's say, for example. Okay. So then here, automatically this 100 actually should get derived at your list UIBB level. That is nothing but here 100 is your plant material and plant is, let's say, for example, it's a Germany plant. Okay. And again, you maintain this data. Again, for the same 100 material, you will have something, let's say, for example, India. And ABC indicates some value. Again, there is one for the same. Basically, what we are saying here is whatever the plants that you are extending, this is for this particular material only. So that means how there is a relation between these two things. Okay, so between your form and list UIBB, so there is a relationship. So that relationship, we will bring it via the wiring schema. Just like at the data model level, we talked about relations. One is leading relation between the entities. We talked about leading relation, qualifying relation, and referencing relation, right? So just similar to, so these, what is these relations? So these relationships defines the linkage between your entities. Similarly, on the UI application, wiring schema will define the linkage between the UIBBs. So whatever the data that I'm entering on this particular UIBB, how it is automatically flowing to my list UIBB. That is, you need to maintain the wiring. If you don't maintain the wiring, both UIBBs will be treated as the independent UIBBs. So this initially your list UIBB will be grayed out. Okay, only when you enter this material number, then only you will see this will be enabled editable for you to add plants. Okay, so how system knows? Because of the wiring, as soon as you maintain the key, so the dependent and UIBBs get enabled. Okay, so that is for that reason we need to maintain the wiring. Okay, so now just look at how I'm going to maintain this particular wiring here, and we need to remember these steps for the wiring. Okay, so you see this is the UIBBs where we added under the overview page schema. At the same time, you have something called wiring schema. Okay, currently there are no wirings maintained. Click on edit. Okay, so you can click on how many UIBBs you have, those many wires you need to add. We have two UIBBs, one form and one list. So you need to make two wirings. The same steps you need to follow when you're extending your material master UI also, because in the material master UI, let's say for example, there are 20 UIBBs are there. All those 20 are the standard UIBBs. Now, when you're going to add 21 UIBB for your to save you to have your to place your custom attributes. So the 21th UIBB, you need to maintain a wiring for that one. If you don't maintain the wiring, that UIBB will be always in a disable mode. Okay, so that's why whatever we are doing, this also will help for your standard UI application extensions or enhancements as well. Okay, so now, so just click on this add wire. Okay, so here you need to choose your form UIBB. So when you do an F4, automatically it shows all the possible UIBBs for which there is no wiring. So currently both are showing over here because the wiring is not maintained for any of these ones. So first I will maintain the wiring for the parent. Parent is nothing but my material. So I'm just selecting this. So now here, there are few more columns that we need to add. So to add, there are some other columns also we need to maintain. But by default, those are not displayed. I mean, those are not visible over here because those are not added into this view. So there is a settings button. Okay, you can click on this button. Okay, so this connector class and these are required for us. So just select all, click on add. Okay, and save. So you'll see all those columns over here. Here there is something called connector class. Okay, connector class. Just like how you have a connector class for your UIBB, for wiring also technically there should the logic, right? So maintaining the relation across your UIBBs, that will be done via these connector classes. So this connector class is the one which is responsible to keep your UIBBs intact. Okay, so now again SAP here provided standard connector classes. Okay, and these connector classes usually we don't enhance. At least your form UIBB, list UIBBs, we might create a Z and you can actually do some logic. But usually for the connector classes, we don't enhance those connector classes. So for form UIBB, you can see here, this is for the type 1. Always we will use this connector class. Okay, so this is the name of the connector class. Always we need to use, even whether it is a standard or custom. So this is the class that we have to use, connector class for your type 1. Okay, and there is other setting, port type is leading. So you can see the setting is port type. You need to select this leading. That's it. There are no other settings required. Okay, so there is something called over here source component and source configuration name. So you can keep it blank, this for your type 1, for the parent. For the parent, you need to just select only the connector class and port type as lead selection, only that much. Now let's maintain one more wiring for your plant. So when you do an F4, you will get to see only one, because already wiring is maintained for the type 1. Okay, so you will see the one which is wiring is not maintained for this particular component. So that's why you see only this one. Okay, so select this. And similarly for type 4s, you have this connector class. CL MDG bowl connector, BS connector bowl REL. So all these details I will share a document. Okay, so there's a document from the standard. If not, I will just prepare one document step by step, and I will share this with the class names and everything. Okay, so now you need to maintain this particular connector class for list UIBB. And here, as per this documentation, port type is lead selection. So here port type is again the same lead selection. And there is one more here. You can see this source configuration, source component. This is a source component and source component configuration name. That means here to this UIBB, to your list UIBB, what is the source? The source for your list UIBB is the parent, the form UIBB, right? Because the material number and everything gets derived from your form UIBB. Okay, so that's why you need to maintain here the source as your form UIBB. So when you do an F4, automatically it shows over here. You need to just select that one. Okay, and the port identifier is lead selection. That's it. So this is done. Your wiring is also maintained. So at the wiring level, you need to remember for every UIBB, if you added 3 UIBBs, there should be 3. And again, for form UIBB, this is the connector class. For list UIBB, this is the connector class. Okay. And for parent level, you don't need to maintain the source, but for the child ones, you need to maintain the source. Okay. So that's it. So now just save your wiring entries. Now going back to this one. There are some, when you actually click on this check button, right, you get some warning message. What this says is no specified, it's a warning message you can ignore, or as no title is specified for your both this one for your material in one, right? So it says that there is no, on the UIBB, there is no title maintained. You can maintain the title here. So basically you can go to, okay, here, click on this attribute section. Now select your form UIBB. Okay, here this is what the property title. You can maintain some title. It's a warning, you can ignore it. Okay, similarly for list UIBB also, just maintain one title. So now there are no warnings. Okay, so we just maintain the wiring as well. So that is nothing but yeah. So wiring is also done. Now the final step that we have is the communicator settings. Okay, so this particular communicator settings that we need to maintain the 5th step, because on your, so far what we have configured on this is we created your OVP application. In the OVP application, we configured the form UIBB and list UIBB. But what about this particular CR UIBB? Okay, so as I said, we no need to create a new CR UIBB. In fact, we have to use the standard SAP provided CR change request UIBB only. Okay, so the change request UIBB will be added dynamically at runtime, depends on your activity. If you're performing create, or if you're performing change or mass or any bulk updates, then only when there is a change happens to your master data, then only the change request UIBB will get added at runtime. Okay, so but to add that at runtime, right, we need to do some configuration. That configuration is the last step that we need to do as part of your UI configuration, that we call it as a communicator status settings. Okay, so this communicator status settings, let me open manage UI configuration one more time. Okay, so once I open that manage UI configuration, okay, so how to maintain the communicator settings? Oh, first identify, locate your UI configuration. This is the one. And the communicator status settings is this is the place where we maintain the communicator status settings. Initially, when you copy it from your OVP application, the standard OVP application, by default, this will be in red color. That means the settings are not maintained. This particular communicator status setting configuration is missing here. Now we need to, once you maintain this will turn into green. Okay, just like you see the other, let's say for example, MM. For MM also, you take your OVP application OVP. Okay, so for this one, these are the standard UI applications. So SAP directly added that your CR UIBB onto this application itself directly. Okay, but for any other custom applications, that will get added at runtime. Okay, so now let's go over here. So let's maintain this settings. Okay, for that one, click on this details section. So it will ask, provide some description for your communication settings. Settings. Okay. Click on OK. So save it in your project specific package. Okay. Now you get to this particular page. Here, select the settings, this particular one, and add here CR wire. CR wire means basically change request wire only. Okay, just like for your form UIBB and list UIBB, how you maintain the wiring schema. As I said, we need to maintain wiring for every UIBB. CR UIBB is also one kind of UIBB for which the wiring is maintained. So all you need to do this communicator status settings means, because that UIBB will get added at runtime, but for that one you need to maintain the wiring entry in your application only. Okay, so that's why here we need to add CR wires, change request wire. Okay, so when you click on this, first there is some values already automatically populated over here. Now see, this page ID is there, so this is not yet populated. What is this page ID? Okay, so if you go to your UI application, so this is our OVP application in a designer mode.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
So by default, for every UI application, there will be some main page, and the ID is this one. Main page ID is main. By default, the value will be populated as main. You can actually replace this with something else as well. You can edit and put your own ID, but usually we keep it whatever the default value. So whatever the page ID that it is asking here, so this is the one. Either it will be main, or someone might modify this to some Z value. Okay, some value. So for now, because we kept whatever is there as a default value, so now you just copy that page ID and keep it over here. Okay, so this is done. So when you are adding wiring, so there is a connector class, just like how we maintain the connector class for form and list wise. So there is a connector class that you don't need to remember as well, because it's automatically by default the value will get populated. And port type, all these things are already populated. Okay, so there is one correction that we need to do. Now you see here, source component. Okay, so for your CRY, it should your type 1 is the source basically. Okay, based on the source type 1 only, your CR UIBB will get added at runtime. So now you need to provide your source component configuration. That is nothing but your type 1 component and configuration name. So that means here, if you look at this one, for your type 1, this is your type 1 material basic details. Here the component name is this one, and the config ID is this one. Even in our wiring also, for the plant, you maintained these two details only. Okay, now the same details we need to maintain for your CR wire as well. So now here, the component name is FPM form UIBB GL2. But here, you see it populated till UIBB only. So you need to add that GL2. Why SAP didn't add completely? Why only it added only till here? Because this is an old component. I mean, for your form UIBB, that earlier in older versions, the component name is FPM form UIBB only. There is no GL2. Okay. Now, recently with the latest versions from MDG 8 or MDG 9 onwards, SAP introduced a new component called underscore GL2, which is a replacement of your form component name. Okay, so that value SAP here, they didn't actually, though they are populating here, they are populating the old value only, not the latest value. So that's why you need to look at what is the, when you add this add UIBB, whatever the component name got added over here, this is nothing but underscore GL2. The same thing you need to keep it over here. And the configuration name is this one, Z material. Okay, so you need to just maintain that's it and save. So what we have done, when you're adding a change request wise, the page ID, we actually looked at the value over here on your application configuration and pasted the same value. Connector class, it's already defaulted, you don't need to touch. Port type, port identifier, it's already automatically default, the value gets defaulted here. You no need to maintain. What you need to maintain is basically source component name and source configuration name. These two are nothing but you need to take the value of your type 1 entity, the main UIBB, the component name and configuration name. Those two values you need to just populate over here. That's it. So once you populate this and save, your component, communicator settings are done. Okay. So I'm just closing this. Now going back to your main application. So it is showing red now, but let's do a refresh. Now it turned into green.
So communicator status, the main purpose is you need to maintain relationship with CR UIBB.
Exactly. Yes. That's true. Okay. So once you see the output, then again, I'll come back and I will correlate whatever the activities that we have done and how, based on these things, how your UI is behaving. Okay. So this is from UI point of view, your configurations are done. Everything is done. Okay. So now let me just quickly recap what we have done once again. First, we copied the standard OVP template to Z OVP template. Okay. Now the second one, then we assigned OTC, business object type, at your application configuration level parameter. Application configuration level. Okay, so this will link your data model to your UI application. The third step is add UIBBs. Okay, so here we added one form UIBB, and to that form UIBB we added one feeder class, and we assigned your SU type 1 entity. Similarly, we added list UIBB. For that one also we added one feeder class, and we assigned the entity name your SU type 4 entity. Okay, and after that, the fourth step, we maintained the wiring for both UIBBs, form, list UIBBs. Okay, and then the final step, communicator settings. We maintain this communicator settings. So once you do these 5 activities, your UI is ready for your master data. You can use this UI for your master data creation. Okay. So now, we haven't written any single line of code. We just followed certain steps and we configured. Okay. And then your UI application is ready. Now, just to see.
Would you please throw some light on, as a ABAP technical consultant, MDG technical consultant, do we do anything about like some classes there, for example, UIB, this thing, what do you call component, these are all there. So is there any, in real time, do we get any sort of work related to, in this UI processing model, UI modeling? So do we have to write any?
Yeah. So see, this is what I'm explaining currently, how a UI application from scratch you can create it. Okay. Once we saw the demo, we have some more scenarios. How you can actually, what are the real-time requirements that we get? as part of from the UI point of view, how you can extend the standard UI applications, what are the baddies are there. So those things we will discuss it later. First, what without writing any logic, the basic simplest version of UI configuration I'm demoing now at this point of time. Okay, if I start explaining the feeder class enhancements and all those stuff, we haven't seen the UI at least once. We just configured it, right? So let's complete the demo, and after that, we have another scenarios in the same UI modeling topic where we can extend the use cases and based on what kind of requirements that we get from UI point of view and how we can address those. Is that fine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So those things are there, but this will come in the subsequent sessions. Okay.
All these 1 to 5, all these steps should be done by functional consultant or
Not
technical.
functional. Again, I said UI modeling is completely done by MDG technical. In the entire UI modeling topic, there is only one topic that is called CBA, context-based adaptation. Only this is the one where functional can do. Okay, but otherwise, the complete UI modeling topic is targeted for the functional, for that MDG technical folks.
So data model also technical team only will take care.
Sometimes functional also will do data model if they are comfortable. Otherwise, technical can do it. It's a techno-functional kind of activity. So the data models can be done by technical or functional because in the data model, you are not writing any single line of code. Okay, but at least in the UI modeling, you will write some logic, you will do some enhancements in the standard feeder classes and everything. So that's why it is little technical in nature. But when it comes to the data model, there is zero coding in entire data model, whatever may be the requirement. But you have to achieve that by configuring the data models only or by maintaining the relationships. There is zero coding in your data model. Okay, so that's why either function, most of the project I see functional also they are comfortable in doing the data models, and even technical people also will do that one. So for data model is a techno-functional kind of activity anyone can do. UI modeling will be exclusively done by functional technical people only. After that, we have the subsequent topics like process model, then data quality, workflows. Those things can be done by functional or as well as technical.
But in our end-to-end course, we can cover technical baddies, that and technical things
I'll
also
be
we will
covering that one as well. I will be covering. Yes. See, I will be covering up for tech because I need to keep in mind technical as well as functional folks as well, right? So I will explain the baddies wherever the baddies are there, and how we can utilize those baddies and everything. So as and when that situation comes, I will be explaining it.
One another clarification. You mentioned the next scenario, like say example in the material master in the backend where we have an enhancement, the custom field. So that custom field needs to be added as an attribute as in the data model, right? And the
Yes.
UI model itself where we have to, to enhance the UIBB, and
Yes.
also in the feeder class where we create a feeder class and use as the main as a super class and inherit all the properties, and we end up writing a code, correct?
Yes, but feeder class enhancement or creating a custom feeder class is a kind of optional.
Okay.
Only on specific situations we enhance that feeder class. So I'll explain in what cases we will enhance that feeder class.
Sure, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, but whatever the steps that you mentioned, right? Like I mean, when it comes to the custom data, enhancements. So in the data model, we will add some custom attributes, and the same attributes you need to bring it on the UI application as well. That's where the UI enhancements are also required. Okay. After that, around that attribute, if any validations or any derivations, something you need to incorporate, there are multiple ways that you can handle that. In that, one option is your feeder class enhancement, one option. But before that, there are other options are also there, which we usually prefer. And feeder class enhancement is our last option.
Oh, got it. So then next session we may able to, discuss those options. Okay, thank you, actually.
Fine, right? Is this clear to everyone? Any doubts? Anyone?
Yes, it's clear, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So just again, I'm repeating this date. So far we discussed data model and UI modeling. We are discussing. Okay, data model is a topic which, so I mean, if the SAP the functional consultant, right? If they are comfortable with the data elements and the set shelves and all these concepts, so then they can actually configure the data model. Okay. There are some consultants, function MDG, who wants to learn MDG. Basically, their background is not SAP. Maybe they are from MDM or some other background. If they are not comfortable with the data elements and everything, then I think they will, you can skip that one, because the technical folks can do that data model. Okay. But if you are actually a SAP consultant, like you are already working on SAP MM or SD or any consultant, so usually all the SAP consultants will have some idea on what is a data element, what is search shell, and all those details, right? So that's how they can also enhance the data model. They can create the data models, they can enhance the data models. Okay. Because there is no coding required. But when it comes to UI modeling, there are mostly this is targeted for the MDG technical folks, and because it has sometimes, if at all, you have to enhance the feeder classes and everything, so the technical ABAP knowledge is required. Okay. But in the UI modeling, there is a topic called CBA, that is nothing but context based adaptation. So this is one of the most commonly used feature, CBA, in UI application. Okay. So we have, after this we have a topic called how we can enhance the standard UI applications. So there I will introduce the CPA and I'll explain what is the CPA. Okay. But for now, once we configured one base UI application, and now we wanted to see the demo for that, how my UI look like and how I can use that to create my master data. For this particular purpose, okay, so now what we have done, as part of the data model configuration, we created one data model called YP data model. Okay. Under this particular data model, you have your parent type 1 entity, and you also created one type 4 entity. And we activated this, and system generated some 2 staging tables for each entity, which is fine. And after that, we created one UI application, and that UI application starts with YP something OVP application. And in this one, we added 2 UIBBs. One is form UIBB and one is list UIBB. And form UIBB is to maintain your type 1 data. List UIBB is to maintain your plan data, which is nothing but type 4. This is fine. Both your backend staging tables, tables are ready, and UI application is ready. Now, what is missing here to see the demo? Okay, your change request configuration. Okay, so that means, let me again introduce this. What is a CR at very high level? Okay, in MDG, but we will discuss in detail about the change request configuration in topic called process model. Okay, in the process modeling, that means after UI modeling, we have another topic called process modeling. There, this is exclusively, this topic is to configure your CRs and everything and the workflows. Okay, so we will be exclusively discussing CRs and the MDG workflows in process modeling topic. But now, in general, once you complete your data model and UI model, you cannot start use this application, because your data model, UI model, and process model. That means nothing but you need to define a change request. Any master data that you wanted to create in the system, you should have a change request configuration and the workflow configuration. Without these things, you cannot actually create your master data using your UI application. Okay, so now what is a change request in MDG? Okay, it very simple terminology. So, like, let's say, for example, we all order online, right? In sites, something we order. Like, let's say, for example, you are ordering something, placing some order in Amazon. What happens? It will place a request. Okay, so for your order. So the request is, let's say, request number is 1100. Okay, so now using this particular request, you can track the status of your order until that order delivered. So you can use this one in future also, if at all you wanted to check that some details, then using this your request number, you can track all the details, right? So basically, for every activity you perform, every transaction you perform, there is some unique number associating with your transaction. In the same way, another example, in your organization, you wanted to, let's say, for example, there is an employee, okay, and this particular employee wants to travel from one location to another location on a business trip. So what this person will do, so this particular employee, initially, he will log into that travel portal. And so this is the employee. So this particular employee will log into the travel portal. Okay, he will enter all the details. What are the dates, travel dates, and what is the maybe the cost center that he have to use? What is the justification or business reason for this particular trip? He will fill all the details and he will submit the request. Then once he submit the request, then what happens? There is a governance process associated with this one. That means as soon as you submit the request, you cannot expect the tickets will come to you as per the dates. So there is a process, review and verification process, and everything is fine. Then only your request will be submitted to your travel department, and all the related to the travel, all the logistics will be taken care. Okay, so now here, what is the governance process that you have in this travel? Okay, as soon as you submit the request, it will go to your manager, right? So manager will open the same request. Initially, the request number is, let's say, 100, and the same request it will submit to the manager. It will be lying down in the manager workflow. Now manager will open this request. He will review all the data, the dates, the cost center, and everything, whether the dates are in line with that business justification, or he is using some extra dates for his own to accommodate some of his personal stuff as well. So he will validate from all the aspects. And finally, he will, if this is okay, he can approve this request. So once he approve this request, okay, what happens? It will go to the finance department. Okay. Now at the finance department, they will validate the cost center and everything, whether is there any valid cost center or not. Okay. So from finance side, if they said okay, that means if they approve this request, then finally it will go to your travel department. And travel departments will talk to this particular employee, and they will finalize the tickets and they will deliver the tickets. Then your request will be closed. So in this entire life cycle, you can trace the status of your request using this particular request number, nothing but 100. Okay. So after that, you wanted to maybe raise another request. System will generate one more request. So likewise, for every activity, every transaction, there will be one unique number associated. And using that unique number, you can actually trace the history. Okay. The same concept also applicable when it comes to MDG. If you are creating a material, okay, in MDG, so we will call him as a kind of a requester role. So there will be a requester, and requester will enter all the data, and he will submit the request. So that is something like this. Okay. So I'm a requester. So now what I will do, I'm just going to this material master application. Okay, so I'm going to create material. So now I'm going to create one material. System generated automatically one unique number. This unique number, we call it as a change request number. Just like how you have your travel request number, or in Amazon or something, you will have your request number, right? So now this request number is associated for this particular activity, whatever you are trying to do. I wanted to create a material, right? So this is the request number. Now I can enter all the details, and finally I can click on submit. So once I submit, this particular request will be submitted to the next person in the workflow. He can be like, once he submits this request, it goes to, let's say, for example, approver, plant approver, or whoever. Okay. So we call him as a approver. Let's say approver. Now approver will review the same data, and he can either reject this particular request, so that requester can correct the data and again resubmit it, or else if he feels everything is fine, he can also approve this request. Once he approves this request, it can go to steward. Steward is the kind of role generally in governance. There will be a kind of role called steward, who is a super authority. Okay, so this steward also can actually review the data, and he can also reject the request if he wants. Okay, or else he can approve that request. Once he approves the request, if everyone in the workflow are approved, finally the request will be closed, and the record that you are actually trying to create, that record will get created in the backend in your application specific tables, right? So now, so here there is a workflow. What is a workflow? Like it's a two-step approval process. One approval, this is one approver, and this is another level, second level approver. So this is one kind of approval workflow we have. Right? So what we do, this entire process, okay, business says that, hey, for all my finished goods, this is the two-step approval process I need. This is the governance process I need. So then what you do, this entire thing, this entire workflow process, you capture under something called change request type, CR type, change request type. Okay, so you create this workflow, and basically you need to define one CR type for your business. CR type represents one business process, one business process. Okay, so what is that business process? The business process says that requester, approver, and steward. There could be another business process, maybe for all sample goods, it should, without any approver, as soon as the requester submits, it should go for an auto approval. That is one business process. Okay, there are no approvers or nothing. It should automatically get created the data as soon as I submit the request. That means there is no approver in that. In that case, you will have only the requester. So that is for that one also. So you will define the business process in terms of CR type configuration in MDG. You define one CR type, and for this particular CR type, you assign a workflow. Okay, so now when I'm creating a material, if I choose this CR type process, then as soon as I submit, that material will get created. If I choose this process CR type, as soon as I submit the request, it will actually go to the approver, and it will follow this particular path. So likewise, in a system, when you're creating in your material master, customer master, business partner, you need to discuss with the business, okay, what are the different type of business processes that you have. They don't know about your CR type and everything. This is your MDG terminology. So they will tell the business requirement. You need to translate that business requirement into your MDG. You need to translate that into your MDG CR types and workflow process, and finally come up with one change request type configuration with the workflow that, hey, you have two-step approval process. For that one, we configured this CR type. So all your business users, whenever they are creating a finished product, ask them to use this CR type, which will follow the two-step approval process. Similarly, ask them to use this process, CR type, which will follow the auto approval process. That is why if you notice this one, when I'm creating a material, so when I click on create material, by default, there is a change request populated over here. Here only this got populated because in this system currently there is only one CR type. There is no other CR type for material master for create scenario. That's why it's defaulted. Otherwise, if you define more than one CR types for your material creation, one with auto approver, one with two-step, one with parallel workflow, one with one-step approval process, and few likewise, then you need to choose the right CR type. When you do an F4, it will show all the list of CR types over here. So each CR type defines a process. Currently here only one CR type is there in the standard configuration. That's why you see here only one CR type, and that automatically defaulted over here. But in your real-time projects, you will end up creating multiple CR types. Let's say you have finished products. For that one, there is one CR type. You have, let's say, AMLs, approved manufacturer list. So for that one, there is one more CR type. You will be having some chemical material types. So you will create another CR type, because based on your material type, the same process is not followed for all the material types. Different material types will follow different way of creation process. So that you represent using the change request type.
One clarification here.
Yeah.
So the requester so the requester is going to choose the change request type, you mean? If you have multiple
there are multiple ways. Okay, so basically what happens is we can actually, let's say, for example, there are different groups. There is a group of, okay, user group is there. And there is one more user group is there. Okay. So this user group always creates finished product of FERT material type. And this user group always creates, let's say, for example, raw materials. So in this case, what I will do is I will create one CR type Z FERT, let's say 01. This is the CR type which I create, and I will assign this to this user group. And I will create here another CR type, let's say Z raw something 01. This is the CR type, and I'll assign to this user group. So this user group always has to use this CR type only. Or for them, if they have only one CR type, for them automatically it gets defaulted. Okay, this user group cannot use this one because they are not authorized. So likewise, we can actually assign which CR types has to be assigned to which user group. But you are right. So for example, there is one user group, steward user group is there. Okay, so they are accessible for both. Right? In this case, they need to choose what is the CR type that they need to use.
Sure. So two other questions, Akshay.
Yeah.
So the create, we have a separate CR number going to be generated. Yes. When we edit and update, another separate CR is going to be created, correct?
CR, okay. Now
CR number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now coming back to CR types. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the CR types.
CR type, yeah.
So let's say, for example, there is one CR type standard MAT01 is the out-of-box change request type. This SAP created for create scenario, for create material. Okay. Similarly, SAP created another one, MAT02. This is the CR type. This is for the change scenario. Okay. Now, whether you use this one or this one, the numbers, CR change request numbers
range
is number range. Let's say 0 to 1000. Okay. So now when I'm creating this, when I'm creating a material, I will use this. System generates the number as 1, CR number. After that, I'm editing another material. System will pick up the next number and it will assign to. So this change request number is common across all your master data. So this number range, so you are creating a material, you are changing a material, you are creating a vendor, customer, business partner, article master, equipments, cost center, profit center, whatever the object you create, for all these objects, there may be CR types are different for every process, but the CR numbers it will pick up is from the same range.
Same range.
Exactly. So if you get here, currently the 630 is there for my material creation. If someone after this, someone is creating a customer or editing a vendor, in that case, for them, the next number is 631.
Okay.
So this is a common number.
Okay. So what if we do mass creation or mass change? So will each material get created separate?
Yeah. In case of mass also, there will be some CR type. Let's say MAT0A. This is the out-of-box mass CR type, right? Okay. So in this one, this is the only one CR type. Under this one, you will be adding bunch of materials. Let's say maybe 10K materials. You are editing 10K materials. So CR number will be only one. The next CR number is 3 only. Under 3, you will have these bulk materials. So we will discuss this in detail in the process modeling topic, which is core of your entire MDG. In your entire MDG, process modeling is the one where you are actually defining your governance process, how the process, your master data maintenance should look like. So that's where we will be discussing about the CR types and workflows and everything. Okay. Why I'm actually introducing this at this point of time in UI modeling? Because though the UI application is already there, I cannot actually start using that UI application until I need to create one CR type also for my custom master.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now what? Yeah.
Please.
So now what I'm going to do is I will quickly complete. There are two options. One, we can wait till we complete the process modeling topic and then we can see the demo of your UI. Other option is I will quickly complete the process modeling steps. It will just hardly take 2 to 3 minutes. I'll quickly complete that. You just observe this, but we are not going to discuss what I'm doing now. Though whatever I'm doing now, those steps I will be discussing in detail in the process modeling topic. Okay, just to show you the demo, I will complete those configurations, but we will discuss those process modeling topics in our this is the one. So when we reach to this topic, whatever I did now, so those we will be discussing in detail. Okay, your CRTech configuration is done. And I also assigned one workflow to show you a demo how the workflow look like. And for the workflow, we need to assign the agents. So I'll just quickly assign those agents as well. And then we'll see the demo. So these are the different steps of the workflow. One is requester, approver 1, approver 2, and some revision. So for at every workflow step, I'm assigning my user ID.
Is that okay? Is that okay? Type of change request having the same, no, the YP is the one.
So
okay, that is the change request.
This is a different under the same change request.
Okay, understood.
It has multiple workflow steps. At each step, who will be the agent? Who will be the person has to approve this request, right? So that's where I'm just specifying over here.
Understood.
So agents, I'll assign my user ID S4H23.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
MDG.
Here, agent ID means approver or a requester also?
Requester also. You can ignore requester also. You need to find. So this workflow has these 4 steps, the workflow which I assigned. Okay. So, fine, everything is done. I will add as a favorite our UI application. See, there are 2 ways. One is you can add your whatever the UI application that we created, like this kind of home pages we will build. Okay, SAP provided for material governance one home page, which has all different links where you can perform different activities. Similarly, for customer governance also, SAP provided some, this we call it as a home pages. So there is a home page for customer governance, and you can see there are certain links are there. So in the same way, for our custom objects as well, we can build this kind of home pages. Okay, so we have a separate topic where we will be discussing how we can configure these home pages. Okay, either you can develop this kind of home page and add all the links. The other option is you can also add your if it is relevant, whatever the UI application that you created, you can also add here one more link directly. How these 4 links are there, you can add one more link over here. Okay, so this entire configuration we do it in there is something called Launchpad configuration. There we will be doing it. Okay, so that we will be discussing the separate topic. For now, I'm not going to add enhance on this UI on this home pages. Instead of that one, I'm just going to add for now in my favorites where I will all these links are there, right? So I will have one link as well where I can call my UI application. Okay, so how to add that link? So you can right click always over here, add other objects. So you can add like your transaction codes also or to your favorites like your MM0102, all that. Just like that, your browser-based applications also or web applications also, you can add it to your home pages. Okay, how that can be added? So always you can right click on your favorites, click on add other objects. So in the down, you have something called WebDynPro application. Ultimately, though we copied the template and everything, it's a WebDynPro application by nature. So that's why you need to choose here the WebDynPro application. Okay, now the parent application for our WebDynPro application is this one, USMD underscore OVP underscore gen. This is the parent application, the main application. Okay, if you look at our, where is this one? Yeah. Okay, so this is the one which I'm entering. So for our YP data model, we created a copy of the configuration, but ultimately all these are the top level application is this one, USMD OVP gen. Okay, so that is what I'm giving over here. Once you provide that, and here when you do an F4, okay, you will see all the components that are actually using this one. In this one, this is the one which we created, relevant for our application. This is our application. So you need to add your configuration. Okay, so here you can provide some description which you can see on your favorites. Let's say I'll say here custom or material create custom. Okay, so I just provided this description will show on this your favorites. So when you are adding this, you need to pass some two parameters. One parameter here is for these applications, we need to pass two parameters. One is action. Action is this is for your create action. You wanted to create your master data. So you need to pass this action. Okay, action is create here. Create action. And there is one more OTC or business object type. The OTC, there should be one parameter with OTC, USMD OTC. And the value will be YP underscore. What is the value of YP underscore BOT or OTC? Anyone? But only these two parameters we need to pass. Okay, so you can see the link got created over here. There is one WebDynPro application with this description. Now you can just
so one another clarification here is like, say example, right now you are creating this in the favorites. There is another options where you can just add it in the NWBC menu also, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
We can add it in the NWBC, and the same thing you can also add it in your Fury catalog as well. So when we reach to the Fury, there also I will explain how we can add it to the Fury.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So one another thing is like, say example, you mentioned that CR type where we assign like, right, to the workflow. Say assume like, out of box solutions, we have a customer master, vendor master, and material master, right? So say example, if we don't have any other custom attributes, so obviously we may have some validation and derivations and check like that, right? So as a functional and technical, like say example, what are the steps they need to follow? Like material master, I don't have any other custom attributes. Do we need to go and activate anything in the data model and then UI model and process model assign the workflow?
Nothing.
We can just straight away use.
Yeah. So once, if at all you don't have everything, you need to use a standard. Then everything will be available. No need to touch anything, data model, UI application, nothing. Okay. Everything, the standard content will be there. When it comes to the change requests also, okay, all the CR types are already defined. SAP provided some out-of-box CR types you can see here. Okay. These are all for MM also. You will find all the CR types over here. These are the business partner. These are for finance. Similarly, for MM also, you will have these are the CR types for material master. Out-of-box CR types. So these are already there. SAP created for creation, for change, for mass, for bulk loads, and everything for different ways they created. This is for create. This is for change. So SAP already created. Everything is already available. You need to just start using this application.
Using it. Okay. In the configuration, as you said, we don't need to activate anything at all. We can just straight away use it in development, quality, and production too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So now we added this under the favorites, and I'm just opening that application. When I double click, whatever the application that we created, it will open up here. So I need to change my default setting. By default, I think Opera is there. That's why everything is opening in this one. Let me copy into.
So Akshay, for the customer master, right? We have a
Yeah.
general data and company code data and sales org data, right? So,
Yeah.
like say example, in some clients where they will wait for I mean, it will go separate, correct, for the workflow for the company code approval and sales org approval, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the CR is going to be same for all three, or
Yeah,
how
it's
it
the
will go?
same. We call it as a parallel workflow. That
Oh, okay, got
once
it.
you submit it, parallelly it will go. One request will go to
Company code and general
company
data.
code. One will go to purchase team. One will go to sales team, like that.
Got it, got it. Thank you, thank you.
And we will see how to create a parallel workflow as well. So we in the workflow we will be discussing that. Okay.
Sure, thank you.
So now everything is fine. So when I try to open that or run that application, sometimes you get this kind of issue where it says that some relation is not supported. Okay. So if you get, I mean, I see this in some systems, and some systems you don't get this issue. But if at all, when you run this, when you, I mean, open this particular link, material creation, or when you call our UI application, if at all you get any issue related to this relation is not supported, what we need to do is basically go to your UI application. Connected parameters not this. Okay. So select your type 4, the plant level, and where here it says that creation with this property creation with the default values, you switch this value to direct creation without default values. You just switch this property. Again, I'm telling under the wiring schema, if at all you get this error, that's why initially I didn't do that. Only when you get this error, some systems I don't see this issue, but in some systems, when I try to develop a UI application, everything is done. Finally, when I try to see the output, we usually get this relation is not supported. So only when you get this error, go to wiring schema for your type 4 and change the value like this property creation mode, direct creation without default. Just only say do this change and save it. That's it. Okay. Now again try running your scenario. So that means I'll again go to my favorites and I'll try to open this. Okay. So now this is your application. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. I need to put the charger. Okay. So now, so this is the UI application which we developed. First, look at this. The change request UIBB got added automatically because of the communicator settings. We maintained the communicator settings. That is a step 5. Okay. So we maintained that. Because of that one, you see this particular change request UIBB got added. And see the next number is 632. Okay. So it's the same number range that will be used across all the objects for your change request in MDG. And you can maintain the other details like description, test, some details you can provide. Okay. And after this, you see, this is basic data details. Okay. So this is for your type 1. Initially, if you notice this one, your plant UIBB, of course, I need to remove these technical names. Okay. If you look at your plant UIBB, the new button is disabled. That means I cannot actually enter a plant data. It is disabled intentionally. Why? Because there is no material number available. So only when you now again at the data model level for your for this particular key for your material number, the key behavior that we maintained at our data model is, if you recall that we discussed in the data model topic, edit data model. Your data model, entity types, This is your type 1 entity for your parent entity. Okay, the key assignment, the key behavior is key cannot be changed, no internal key assignment. Here we said no internal key. That means user has to input the key. That means it's an external key, and key cannot be changed. Okay, so that means here there is no internal key proposed. User has to input the key. So I'm inputting the key here. Let's say, for example, demo 1 and hit enter. See here, this is automatically grayed out. Now I cannot change this value because the behavior, it says the second part of that key cannot be changed. So once you input the key, you cannot change. So this behavior, how this UIBB at the UIBB level it is taking, because this UIBB is tightly coupled with your in the backend your type 1 entity, because at the UIBB level we mentioned your type 1 entity. So the type 1 entity has the key behavior like this. So that's why it is fetching all that behavior and accordingly it is behaving. Okay. Now other observation, once you enter the key, your new button got enabled over here. That means now you are good to extend this material to multiple plants. Okay. So let's maintain the other details here. I'm just maintaining some material group, industry sector, material type, let's say FERT. Okay, so I maintained other details at type 1 level. Now I can also extend this material to plants. When I click on new, I choose the plant, let's say 1000. See, automatically your material number derived over here. This is because of the wiring. In the wiring, we mentioned for your plant UIBB, the source UIBB is this material UIBB, the form UIBB. Then, and we also maintained the connector classes. Because of that one, it has both are intact via your key. What is that key? Your material number. Okay, and other attributes, let's say ABC indicator value, you can just maintain. Let's say, for example, A. Okay. Similarly, it's a 1:n relation. I can extend one material to multiple plants. So I'm just clicking new button again. I can extend it to another plant. Let's say 1020. Okay. And you maintain the key. So likewise, you are creating the material at the same time you are extending to the plants. Similarly, if you have another entity, type 4 entity for your sales, you can add one more UIBB for your sales in your data model as well as at your UIBB level. Okay, and once the request are done, all these things, and change request UIBB added because it's a create scenario and because of the communicator settings, so change request UIBB is done, added. So out of those 1 to 5 steps, if you miss any one step, it won't work as expected. Okay, so now let's also look at first at the staging level, the data. So I'll go to look at your staging tables. The T code is SC38, and you can open run this particular program, USMD data model, enter your data model name YP, execute. So the staging table this is the staging table for your type 1, that is nothing but your material. So the physical name, you can double click this. It will directly take you to your staging table. Okay. And look at the data currently. So there are no table entries at this point of time. But what happens as soon as I submit this request? Okay, I think it is asking me to maintain the country as well. So let me maintain some country. Okay, now I'm submitting. So this request was submitted now. Okay, so the workflow that I assigned here it's a two-step approval process. That means there will be a requester. That means I just submitted. That means requester step is completed. Now it goes to approver 1, and approver 1 approves this request. It goes to approver 2. Okay, and approver 2 again approves this request. Then finally the workflow will be completed. Okay, so this is the workflow we assigned, two-step approval process. So now my user ID is assigned data every step. That's why now when I refresh this particular page, it came to me. Now see, I got these options. Finalize processing means it's a approve kind of thing. Send for revision means it's a rejection kind of thing. See, the descriptions that we can maintain, whether approve, reject, finalize processing, send for revision, or activate, reject. So whatever the button descriptions that we can maintain as per our wish, and that we will be discussing in our workflow topic. But at this point of time, I'm at the approve. This request is with me as at the approver level. That means the request is with me at this level now currently. And at this level, there are two options are provided for this, the workflow which I used. The options are finalize processing. That means review this data and finalize this process. That means provide your acceptance, or else send for revision, reject this request. Okay. So now what I will do, I'll approve this request by clicking this finalize processing. Okay. So before that, I forgot to show you in the staging. In the staging, the record is already inserted. See, your demo one is already inserted. And this is the inactive record. There we discussed about active, inactive flag. Zero indicates it's inactive because this material is not yet approved, finally approved. It is still in the process of getting all the required approvals. So once the final approver approves, the indicator will, because it's a flex data model, so this your inactive record will turn into active record in the same staging table. Currently, 0 indicates inactive, 1 indicates it's an active record. So now you have other data as well. You can see your FERT and everything. Okay, at the same time, at the plant level, the child level as well. If I go back and open this is a staging table for your type 4 child. There will be two records because I extended this material to two plants, 1000 and 1020. See, 1000 and 1020, both are inactive records till at this point of time. Okay, so now.
But previously only one record showed, right?
That is for the type 1 level. Right now, I'm showing you the plant level. You see our UI, sorry, our data. I created one record for material basic data, two records for plant. So earlier I showed this table and now I'm showing the second table. Clear?
So which option we selected to see both records in that another screen?
No. You need to understand here. It's not, don't go by the table thing. There is one staging table for your material basic data UIBB, type 1 UIBB. How many records you are expecting in that table?
One material
Only
is
one
extended to.
Yeah. So one material extended to two plants. That means in the material table, I'll have one material, one record. And in the plant table, I'll have two records because here you see there are 1000 and 1022 plants are there.
Okay, so now you have selected plant level.
Yeah, that's what I showed you, right? So when I go back, let me show you here. So this is the staging table for your material, the parent type 1. This is the staging table for your type 4. How many records you are expecting in this one? One, right?
For the material 1 for plant 2.
Yeah, that's what I showed. So in the material level, you'll have one record. Here you'll have two records.
Oh, okay, got it.
So now I'll do again refresh. So it came now. This is at the approver 2, second level. Now this request is at the approver 2 level, at this level. At this approver 2, we are providing the option approve and reject buttons. Now you can also look at the workflow log history. Click on this workflow log. It will show you that the initially approver 1 completed his activity and what decision he has selected. He selected finalize processing. Now the same request is pending with approver 2. At approver 2, this is my user ID assigned. And the workflow status is ready. It's not yet approved. Okay, you can look at the history of this particular workflow as well. Okay, so we will discuss in the workflow topic all these details. Now I just wanted to, you can visualize how the MDG workflow should look like. Okay, so now
just a quick question. So, because we have used two types here, one is the material, the other one is the plant.
yes,
Can that have two different types of approvers or two different groups of approvers going through? Maybe it's a parallel workflow.
Yeah.
In this
That's what, in the
example, we have
parallel
used
workflow-
a simple. Yeah, in
Yeah.
this example, we have used a simple one, but I think
yes,
because each plant may be managed by a different group, so they may have to approve certain
yes,
things,
yes.
and then
Yes.
it comes back to the original material creator or someone, and then it goes back to the other plant group, and so there may be complex
Yes,
approval
yes,
process to get that finally approved, right?
yes, yes, yes. Those workflows are possible. Yeah, you are right.
Okay.
So those are possible, and we will discuss in the workflow topic.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So now this is the final step at approval 2, and I'm initiating my approve process. So now this request, that means the inactive record will turn into active at this point of time. Okay. So if I go to my staging table for material, earlier 0 indicator is there. Now it turned into 1. That means now this material is active. This material can be used for your transactional purpose. Similarly, let's look at the plant level.
Actually, 1 minute. In this screen, we no need to fill anything, right? Or we can discuss about the screens in the next session.
Yeah, can you come again? I didn't get your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, can you go back to the previous screen?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
No, in the same screen, previous page.
Here,
Yeah, previous step. Yeah, here we no need to fill anything.
no, this is like if at all you wanted to query something based on certain value, you can query it. If you don't put any input, when you click on execute, it will fetch all the records.
Okay, but however, we can discuss about this every screen in our
No,
next
this is
session.
your standard SAP screen where you will see the data from a table. So you have a table, and how do you wanted to see the data from a table, right? So
Okay.
that's where actually you can see this data. So this is a table. Now what records are there inside this table? That I can click on this content, table content button. And if at all, if I know particular data, I can input it. Otherwise, I can directly click on execute. So this is the standard SAP steps where you wanted, if at all you wanted to see some table data. It is nothing to do with MDG.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So is it still the staging tables, right? So these two,
Yeah.
what they're showing is the staging tables, right?
Yes. This is still staging table.
So,
And this data model that we selected is a flex data model. Maybe if you go through the previous recordings, there we discussed about flex versus reuse data models. In case of flex data model, your active record stays in the same staging table. If it is a reuse mode, then your active record will be deleted from this staging table, and it will insert into your the application specific tables.
yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And for actually getting into the ERP side of things, whatever MR, Mara, whatever the table that needs to go to, we need to copy that in a different way. We have to create another routine program to copy that, right?
In this case, you are saying?
Yeah. So this is a flex model.
Yeah, in this
So the
flex,
record
basically your
stays
question
here,
is how
but
you
it
can
will
get
go
the
to-
data into your active area tables, nothing but your
Yes, we
Mara.
need to replicate this to ERP side as well, right?
Okay, so usually the when you are going with the flex mode, if you tell you don't need the data in your ERP layer, or you wanted to keep it here and you wanted to replicate this data at a certain period of time, then
Yeah.
you are right. We need to have some other process which will actually, when you run that process, this data will be copied to your application specific tables.
Yeah. But if we don't need it, then I think you can start
You can
using
keep it.
this
Yes.
code
Yes.
for directly
Yes.
transactional purposes.
Yes. But usually, if at all you need the data in your ERP tables, we go with a reuse mode option.
Yeah.
Here automatically that data will move to your application specific tables. So that demo we will see in when we are working with the standard models, MM and BP objects. What is the request number? This change request number. 632. Okay, so 632 is the change request number, and there is a table. The table name is USMD 120C. So we will discuss about all these the table names as well after a while. Okay, so you can see this table has, this is the key table. So the change request number is 632. So 632, and when you run this, the status is 05. 05 is the final status. So 05 means it's a final check approved. There are only two statuses possible. One is 05, one is 06. If it is completely rejected, the status is 06. If it is 05 means it is fully approved and closed. When a request with this status, you cannot modify anything. It is considered as a closed request.